Heejung. I will be sharing my wireframe in Figma and two front-end mentor projects that I've done in the recently. Let me share. Okay, hopefully everybody can see my screen. So this was actually part of my React Native mobile project. They had like a UI UX section where we were required to do wireframe and kind of build out the wireframe to a website design. So on the top, I have like my example of a wireframe for making reservation at a restaurant, and it's all black and white, just frames, no illustration. And then the second part, I added the photos and colors to match the theme of the oops, of the restaurant. And I actually took some design inspiration from other website um, uh, reservation ideas. So yes, this is it. And then my next project that I did recently was Front End Mentor, which is like a front end project. And this is all just from their design. And I didn't have the Figma. I just did it from the photo that they had. And this is all HTML and CSS. And this project, especially, I'm proud of doing these little corner accents that kind of took a lot of time to figure out how to create like a border and position it all around. And this is also pretty much mobile responsive. So let me see. If I minimize the screen, it'll change the format of the view. This is my second project. This one is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And this one, when you enter the email incorrectly, you get a warning sign. And when you enter the email correctly, this button highlights to allow you to subscribe to the newsletter. And then it gives you like a subscription message. And then when you hover over the dismiss message, it changes color to let you know that the button is functioning. This is also mobile responsive. When you dismiss it, this is the mobile view. For this project, I had to kind of learn how to, move this new picture up here, down there, and that's all done by CSS. And all of the functionality is done through JavaScript. And let's say if you put in the incorrect information, even if you click on the button, it won't go to the next page. So that is the end of my presentation.
Awesome.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, questions?
I have a question.
Mhm.
The last time you demoed, you were using Tailwind CSS, I think, and so how did you get your responsiveness on this one?
Oh, it's all through CSS.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I used, let's see, the responsiveness. I followed W3 School's responsive web design media queries. And I looked at this example and, especially the media at screen width, minimum width 768. Not this one, but for the mobile view, even though this is their example for mobile view, I actually gave it a specific measurement for mobile, so that when I worked on coding the responsiveness of the CSS. Here, it's like the mobile view. These are the code. And then for desktop view is here. And then other CSS code is below.
Okay, so if I could just follow on. So it's interesting. So you have a container class and you have certain column classes like for small, medium, large. And offhand, I can't tell. Are those the bootstrap classes that you're defining, or are you defining your own CSS classes for those, or what's happening there?
I did not use any Bootstrap or Tailwind framework. I really wanted to practice Flexbox and using, vanilla CSS. So this actually, all of this container one, they're all code that I named myself within the divs. So those are all CSS classes that
Right.
I, assign, or attributes that I assign to these class names.
Uh-huh. Sounds good. Yeah, I guess that would be leaner than using. It's kind of like a trade-off, I guess. It would be a lot leaner than using Bootstrap and potentially faster, but then you'll lose a lot of the Bootstrap capability. Like you've got a grid system here. If you're going to,
Actually, this one does not have a grid system, and that'll probably come later when I feel like I need to implement grid. But I noticed working on CSS, Flexbox is pretty great at just, you know, uh, imitating grid in a
uh-huh.
lot of ways. Um, and I think I was at a presentation for like a Google presentation, and in measuring how much people use grid, it's still kind of low on the CSS side. A lot of people actually still prefer to use Flexbox instead of grid.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'll stop.
Cool. So this was your latest assignment that you had, Heejung? The one that you
Well, this is through Women Who Code, and I
Mm,
joined their front end group. And so they have like coding projects that people can join and practice.
mm,
And I'm participating in their front end Fridays, and they're doing it through Front End Mentor, which is subscription based platform. I actually started off with the free version, and then the third challenge was a paid version, and I decided to pay for it because it's not too much, and I would get access to download the Figma files, which
mm,
I feel like I could use later on when I do freelance web design, just to have, professionally made Figma files that I could reference in my own projects. So I decided to pay for like a year's membership and cancel one of my streaming services. So I was
Good
just
choice.
one of them. I
yeah,
think this is a better investment of my money.
right, for sure.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You started that one? Did you start that one with Figma and then move and then start? You started with a Figma design first,
So
and
for these past two front-end mentor challenges, I
mm,
didn't download their Figma design because I didn't have their paid membership.
mm,
But when you download the free version, they give you photos of
mm.
what it should look like. And so I literally eyeballed everything
Okay.
for all of this. And I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. Um, with me just eyeballing everything and just kind of proportionally putting in as best I can. And
Mhm.
I think my background in fashion really helped out with the visualness of
Nice,
making it look pretty close
nice,
to the photo.
cool.
I mean, so they would come in these like files, and in the images are actually the design. Yes. So these were the previews. These were the designs that that it would come with, and I would eyeball it. And I think it came out pretty close, considering I didn't use a Figma file.
Yeah, it's good. Really nice.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Heejung?
On the first one, so let me ask one more on the first one. Back on the the lemon site, how'd you get your color palette for that?
Oh, so for this one, the project, the Meta React Native project on Coursera, the UI UX section, they provided photos and the colors for the font and the background already, and so I implemented it where I would, I feel visually looks good on the um, design. But there's components of the design that Meta kind of provided, but all of this starting from here on is just me researching online at different restaurants and kind of modeling the ones that I liked and the information. And so that's how I designed um, the basic wireframe layout and then added the colors and the photos.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Great. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. And great job so far. So what's next on the horizon?
I like the front end mentor challenge. It actually it's a lot easier to kind of increase my coding skills. Instead of having to try to like figure out what to do, just having like a guideline, it just makes everything faster for me to learn. Like during these challenges, I quickly learned how to do like vanilla CSS responsive web development, like mobile and even this one having a requirement outlined of what they want. It's like working with a customer, asking me what they would like in their website and me going and building it out. So it just makes it a lot faster.
Right.
Yeah. And so I'm continuing to do the front end mentor challenges and I'm planning on doing more difficult leveled ones so that I can increase my coding and front end development skills. And at the same time, I'm volunteering at Hack for LA, and I'm getting experience kind of working on the back end. So it's almost, just continuing to work and build and
Yeah.
waiting for a job.
Adding the skill sets together. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
Cool. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you. All right.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry, Omar, go ahead.
No, you go.
So this one, you made these wireframes for mobile applications, right? Or these can be responsive on the website as well?
Yeah.
The restaurant.
My wireframe, it was for a mobile app and React Native framework. And I could definitely implement, the front end visualness of everything here into like a mobile app. Um, but I think when you're working with customers, it's just a lot easier to present everything in a wireframe and design everything out before coding everything so that, what the customer wants is clear and you can visually represent it. It's a lot easier moving boxes than coding and trying to move boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Okay, great. Well, does anyone else want to present any work to the group?
Sorry, can I ask a question
Oh yeah, go for it.
to Heejung?
Yes.
Yeah, so I had used Figma too, but I don't do coding.
Mhm.
I'm curious. Have you tried Adobe XD?
No, I have not. And from the presentations that I've heard, pretty much all of the professional UX UI designers,
Oh,
they all use Figma. I haven't heard of them using Adobe. I think one instructor at General Assembly mentioned something about Adobe trying to copy Figma and not doing a very good job of it.
oh,
And
I
that's
see.
why Adobe was trying to purchase Figma, but then
Yeah.
the government said no.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that, but I didn't because I wasn't sure which one is the better platform. So you mean
I would stick
Figma
with
is better?
Figma. Yeah, Hack for LA, all of the design is done on Figma. I know that when I was working at MGM Studios, they subscribed to Figma to lay out their whatever plans.
Okay, I see.
Mhm.
So, how long you have been learning the coding?
I went to a General Assembly boot camp last year, started in May, finished in August.
Okay.
And like while looking for work, I've just been practicing coding, reading, and then networking. And through networking, I found out about Hack for LA. And then from there, I got more practice
Mhm.
working in a group environment, contributing to a GitHub repository with other coders. And I was lucky enough to get onto the TDM calculator project. They had an opening. They didn't have any developers, so they were willing to take anyone. So I just started volunteering there, and I think it's a great experience volunteering at Hack for LA, because you don't have to put in 40 hours. And then the lead developer, John, he's pretty casual. He understands like people have other priorities, and I do, as a beginner, have enough time to finish my work and contribute. So it's not as stressful as like working in a company, but I get the experience. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
So General Assembly is the name of the boot camp, right?
Yes, I attended General Assembly. I think I researched online at different boot camps that are available. And I knew somebody who did a boot camp, and I compared his boot camp to the one General Assembly. And I found out about General Assembly because when I was laid off from Amazon, they had like a program with Lee H. Harrison, I don't know, LHH, which is like a company that helps you kind of work out your portfolio or resume and things like that. And in their website, they had General Assembly as like one of their boot camps to learn technology. And so from there, General Assembly and another boot camp, I compared the coursework, the amount of time, the amount of money that I would have to invest. And I chose General Assembly just because the other boot camp no longer offered the 12-week program. And I wanted to finish as quickly as possible to get into the job field as quickly as possible. But General Assembly does offer like a full-time software engineering course and a part-time for those who are working and they want to get coding skills. And I would honestly have to say I tried teaching myself coding before going to General Assembly, but it was just kind of like little tedious. It wasn't, I was doing the following along, but I wasn't really able to implement it or grow beyond just practicing. Whereas General Assembly, it's pretty intense, a lot of work. But just the fact that I got a whole complete overview from start to end, how everything worked, it just makes it a lot easier for me to work on my own afterwards. And I'm able to complete these front end mentor challenges.
Yeah, those look pretty cool. I was just checking those out. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those where you like, but for me, it's like I learn something and then I don't use it for 3 months or 6 months, and then I have to like relearn it all over.
Yeah.
You know,
You
it's
always
like
have to
it
refer
depends
back.
on what you're learning, whatever it is, the CSS, the React, JavaScript, whatever, and then you go do something else for a year, and then it's like, oh, start all over. So
Yeah.
it's good if you can keep consistent. And
No, honestly, even the front end mentor challenges, I had to go back to my other projects because I couldn't
yeah,
remember exactly how all the code was written. So I had to go, okay, I did this before. Let me go back and check out what I did. And I look at W3 schools. They have a lot of examples. And then
yeah,
so I go through a lot of them, just trying to see which functionality, which design that I'm looking for. And then I start testing things out. And um, till I get to the point where I'm happy.
ChatGPT, not too bad either. Sometimes
I have
to
not
help.
had
I've
success.
used it. I just use all resources, but
Yeah.
I guess you could call that cheating. But
I
I
don't
might
think
have
it's
something
cheating.
for
It's like
icy.
I use W3 schools and they have complete examples. So it's
Yeah,
not so much the cheating, but for me, I think learning wise, just going through the examples of W3 schools is just a better learning experience for me.
yeah. It's all in the interest of time sometimes for me, depending on how much I need to cheat or not cheat. But I'm only like an intermediate coder anyway, so use the tools I can, and then if I need to tweak stuff, I'll tweak it. But definitely, like I think learning, like doing it your way, Figma coding and being able to take the wireframe to the website is like this kind of senior level way or the high level way that people really look for. But there are ways, like with Heisey, she was asking, I mean, I was going to present this actually website that there are tools to transfer Figma, to the web kind of thing, low code or no code, and then tweak it. But so I could, if you want, I can present that. But
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah,
that's
for sure. We can do that.
kind of what Heisey might have been getting at if you're not coding, how to get it from design to web
Yeah,
in
that
a
would
low
be
code
interesting.
kind of way.
So did you want to present
Yeah.
some of your work or just this tool?
Yeah.
The tool.
No, I'd
Okay.
like to present it based on
Okay.
that
Sure.
tool
Sure.
that I
Absolutely.
Please do
started
both.
with.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So let me jump into it if you guys are cool with that. But yeah, because I'm kind of like I don't know, I'm in the in between you guys kind of thing, maybe, where it's like I can do some of that, but I don't have that much time. So
Mm.
this was done in Framer, which I don't know. Do you guys know Framer?
Nope.
Okay, so you can do, it's similar to Figma, but it's like for websites, and it does responsive website. I'm just trying to do a portfolio for some of the work that I've already done, and this was just a quick way to kind of do it. So, a lot of nice
Interesting.
stuff here. I put a QR code in that's active. So scrolling down. So this is some of my portfolio work. This is just an e-commerce store that I did in Shopify. So you can go into the project and
So this is in Shopify, is that right?
so this is in Framer,
Framer.
but this is a site I did in Shopify as part of my portfolio. So I could go to, like, you can click it, and then like this is one of the online boutique I did. But yeah, so it's the Framer website is my portfolio for these websites. And this is just showing, different screenshots of the site. And so these are fixed. These elements are fixed. So you can go back home here. I can jump to work here. And then this is like another one I did. It's like more of a demo medical practice site. This one was actually done in React, and it's actually, this was a while back, but I did
I
a.
think we're on the same page, or at least I'm only seeing the.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I
Oh,
switched.
no worries.
I switched tabs. Sorry. Yeah, let me go back. So anyway, this one. Yeah, so you could scroll down and the cards come up and you can see the different portfolio sites that I've done. So this was actually a site that I did, and this was actually written in React and then with some injected Web3 where you can actually send crypto, but that was like 2 years ago or so. So again, it's like one of those things where I'd really have to go back and, figure it out all over again. Let's see here,
Excuse
let's
my
see.
ignorance. What is Web3 and what are you injecting?
Oh, so Web3 is like, you can use either like Python, I think it's like Py3 or another one. So it integrates with blockchain. So like with this site, you can connect your blockchain wallet, like MetaMask, which I don't have installed on this, but and then you can send crypto from one wallet to another. And
Okay.
then when you send the crypto, so you put in the address and then you can put in a keyword and a message, and then it'll generate an animated GIF based on based on your keywords, and it shows the transaction here.
Thanks.
But yeah, so this is just a portfolio site for some of the stuff I've done, and then they go into more projects. Kind of shows all of them. I did this is just like a little e-commerce store, another Shopify e-commerce store I did for a friend. This is a WordPress drone news site. And then this is a personal project for a influencer network that I'm working on that was also done in WordPress. And yeah, and then this is just kind of the get in touch section.
Wait, so you did the Framer site as a portfolio site for your other sites?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
got it.
Yeah, I needed something kind of quick and dirty to get it going. But yeah,
Okay, nice.
this is the Framer
Um,
site. Yeah.
How did you
Cool.
choose to use Framer as opposed to say Figma or Webflow or WordPress or something?
It's just like a recommendation from someone that had done a site and showed me, and then I just got into it and was able to develop quickly in it. So yeah.
You're designing everything from start to finish? You're doing all the design and development for all the sites?
Design and development, yeah, but it's there's CMSs, so it's not like from scratch.
Right.
So it's like using a framework and sometimes using templates, sometimes not. But yeah, and I'm more of like a code tweaker, I would call myself. I'm not really. I don't like to write stuff from scratch unless I really have to. I mean, I think that's what I was saying with Heejung. I think it is great to be able to do that. But I don't know. There's so much going on. It's like I try to do things in a time sensitive manner. But so yeah, depending on the project, learn what you need to and kind of get it done.
Sure. Cool. Hey, just out of curiosity, Michael, did you fill out did you go to the form, the affiliate community form that we have, that basically where you fill out your information?
I
And
haven't yet, but I'll do that like right after this.
okay, yeah. So I'll put the link in there. I'll put the link in the chat. But yeah, so but that'll be good, because then sometimes, like if I'm having conversations with clients, with clients, and I need to quickly refer to something, I can refer to the form. It really helps me out.
Awesome.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
love that. Yeah, I'd love to collaborate with any of you guys. That'd be great. But I wanted to also say that so this is, let's see, there's the other form here.
Yeah.
So Framer, I think was, I don't know if it's built with the intention to be able to work with Figma, but you can import Figma into Framer. So it's kind of like a no code, low code way to get Figma to the web. I haven't
Hmm.
tried it yet, but because I'm actually kind of learning Figma.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that was, I know that that was another one. Josh is a big fan of Webflow. I mean, he was talking about he did a talk presentation about basically how you can move Figma into Webflow, but Framer apparently as well. I haven't found a particularly good way to take Figma and turn it into usable HTML and CSS. So we had actually talked about that last week, but I don't think that's particularly usable. You can basically just pull the CSS out of that and make your own page. But
that's kind of my next project, if you will, is more Figma and then experiment with importing it into, Framer. There's like Cider can do it too, just kind of experiment with those and see how it translates.
So I was thinking Framer was a prototyping tool, but are you actually hosting this with Framer?
You can either, yeah, you can host it. Yeah, you can host it on Framer. I believe you can also like output the code and host it elsewhere.
Uh-huh.
I generally I like to host on AWS just because like I know AWS and I have a lot of control and it's expandable and everything. But since I'm new to Framer, I just needed something kind of,
But you're saying, I guess what you're saying is Framer is a full website builder then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
it sounds a lot like Webflow.
Right. Not so much like Figma, more like Webflow. I don't think Figma does not actually build. Does it build full websites that you can deploy?
Figma does not. No.
Right.
I think you can import your Figma designs into Framer and then host it. I think you can just, I don't know if you can do it and then do it like host it back on AWS. I haven't gotten that far yet, but you can have like, custom domains and just host it in the Framer cloud, like
Gotcha.
without people knowing it's in Framer, just a custom domain. So
Right.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing. So, sorry. Hi, so you want to go?
Yeah, so Michael, you are using Framer. How do you like it compared to WordPress? It's
I love it. It's very much more user friendly, I'd say. Um, yeah, I love it. I don't know.
so it's like Wix and Squarespace, that type of platform, right?
Yeah, I haven't used those, but maybe it's more. Yeah, I haven't used those actually, but
Okay.
It's like Wix and Squarespace. They're really optimized toward e-commerce, towards selling products, right? I mean, I don't know if people ever use Wix or Squarespace for say blogs or calendars. Maybe they do, but so yeah, we're talking just a lot of different things going on here because like WordPress has so much depth and history in terms of plugins. And so I don't know. Yeah, if you're, I guess, I
Yeah.
see you're asking for a comparison choice. I would say if you're trying to determine what environment to work in, I would say understand all the capabilities of all the environments.
Yeah, the use case. What's the use case?
Yeah.
If you want it to be a like presentation site, maybe Framer is great to spin up something pretty quick. If you have to do,
Exactly.
yeah, and I think for e-commerce, I think Shopify is an easy way to spin up an e-commerce site, at least for me. But yeah, WordPress has a lot of different kind of capabilities. You can use like Gutenberg if you need to. You can use Elementor for the design side, and all the other plugins that have been. So yeah, I don't know. There's various use cases depending on what you're trying to do. I mean, like that's what I was kind of getting to before. It's like, okay, what's the use case? What do I need to do? What do I need to learn to make it happen? Type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, as far as platforms go, CMS platforms, I mean, and there are lots of different options. I generally kind of steer people. I like to steer people towards WordPress because of the fact that it's going to be a lot more challenging if you build a site on Wix and then you realize you need WordPress. It usually doesn't work the other way around, even though WordPress is more involved. There's just a lot. It just has a lot of capabilities that the others don't. That the other kind of
So what do you
basic
usually do? You
don't have.
forgot where did you host it on? Did you say you use like WP Press or whatever? WP,
Where did I host what on?
like your WordPress sites. How do you usually start them?
Oh yeah, I mean, WP Engine, SiteGround. I think those are pretty good uh, hosts. Yeah, I mean, you can pretty much host it anywhere you want to, but
Yeah.
yeah, for somebody who's not I think that we had our conversation last time. It was like SiteGround and WP Engine.
Yeah. Because I spin them up in Lightsail and in AWS. I don't know if you're familiar, but you can spin them up fast. But because I've had trouble like transferring WordPress sites without like, I don't know, like getting the backup and then transferring the backup to another host. So that's why sometimes I really want to make sure I'm hosting in the right environment from the beginning.
But I would say with Wix and Shopify and Squarespace, you have no chance of transferring. So keep that in mind.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, WordPress is more flexible, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't know about the Framer stuff yet either. If you can, I've kind of read that you can, but I haven't experimented with it yet. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a variety. Like some sites I did on that portfolio, like WordPress. Some I did Shopify. One on there I did React. So, I think that's part of it too. Is kind of adapting to different platforms if you can. Anyway, thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you for presenting.
And Michael, like when you complete your work, like how are you doing the performance testing? So let's say if there are 10 browsers or 20 browsers, some sort of simulation, do you do any sort of testing after completing your work?
Testing. What did you say for like?
So let's say if
user
there are
stuff?
10 parallel web browsers that are browsing your website, and in terms of performance,
I mean, there's tools in like there's tools in WordPress, right? Like Jetpack and stuff like that. And there's loads of tools in WordPress, right? But on AWS, there's a bunch of tools too, like CloudWatch, and there's a bunch of ways to see, how many users are. I haven't really. I've managed 2 large scale websites that had, like hundreds of thousands of visitors coming in, which was a enterprise drone sites where I was the product manager. And that was built in Adobe Commerce, which has, a lot of its own tools. But yeah, I don't use that too much because a lot of them are for smaller clients and stuff like that. But I do think like if you're planning to go huge, I don't know, I'd still lean towards AWS, but that's just me.
Cool.
But
Awesome.
you can see like I mean the various platforms, I don't know, Omar, you could probably speak to, they have tools that show usage statistics and stuff, right? A lot of this stuff. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you can see that as far as analytics goes. I mean, and
Google
so
Analytics.
you can see, yeah, they all have their own onboard analytics. So you can see that type of information, and then also there's always Google site tools, Google Analytics, and so forth. But yeah, as far as anything, I mean, if you're going to be on an AWS, you're looking at a whole different type of testing. If you're actually looking at stress testing the network to make sure it holds up, but those are different type of sites. I'm the same. I do small business websites where they're not getting 100,000 visitors in a given
Yeah, like I mean,
A
I
or
was
something.
yeah, kind of same with me. I was the e-commerce manager, product manager for this drone company. It's a really huge drone company, and they have it built into Adobe Commerce, so it was hosted in Adobe Cloud, and that has those tools built in. But we also use things like SEMrush. SEMrush is interesting to like compare competitors and yeah, Google Site Tools, Analytics. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, those are the main. Those are the only two big sites that I really have been involved with. And they're pretty large scale, but you know, I didn't build those from scratch. But yeah,
But speaking of performance testing, do you guys have any particular performance testing tools that you like to use on your projects? Anyone have any?
I use Shopify Analytics when on my online
Yeah.
stores.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have good analytics built in, but
Mhm.
I use Google Analytics. Those are the main.
Okay. As far as I was thinking something more along the lines of GT metrics. Have you guys used GT metrics?
No,
For yeah, GT metrics is pretty good to check your, like, once you're finished with your project, you can put your URL into GT metrics. It's gtmetrics.com, and then yeah, you can see what it'll give you stats on your your site performance, and give you some, and tell you where you need to fix. Usually it'll be things like image optimization and you know, assets, you know, things like that. So, but it tells you all, it gives you all that kind of info. I usually refer clients to that site when they're looking at
that's great.
um,
Thank you.
getting some optimizing their site or figuring out what's wrong with their site. You know, usually GT metrics and Google Search Console, because Google Search Console will give you some tips and feedback as well, as far as your site performance and anything that might be causing your site not to show up in Google search. So cool. All right. Great. Anyone else want to show anything? Or I know Sarah asked, you did like that last time. I see you've done that already. So we're gonna be out of presentations today. But then if nobody wants to show anything, we can certainly just, you know, chat about whatever. Anybody have anything they wanted to bring up? Or I actually will do want to mention a couple of different things. One, there's actually, for those who might be available or who might be free, there is a 2-day conference next week. It's called Digimarcon. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but it takes place on the 11th and 12th, and it's actually free to attend on the 11th. I will throw the link in the chat, and you guys can check it out. But if you do happen to be free, I would suggest potentially looking into it, because it's going to be some pretty good information there.
What kind of conference is it?
It's basically digital marketing, but it covers like they're covering all kinds of different topics. So let me throw the link in, and then we can talk about it more. But let me Mark on West.
Hey, John, what happened with your invoice? You get any feedback on that?
No, I would assume that she would probably interview or talk to several other, web developers. And yeah, I haven't heard from her. I don't know if I should I mean, I can follow up, but I don't really want to pressure her.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I worked in the entertainment industry, where they have a saying, if you don't get a response, it just means that it's a no.
I mean, it could be, but oftentimes I think that it's oftentimes what it is that a lot of times what happens is people get busy, and then they stop. Their priorities change,
Hmm.
and they start, and then they stop. They might, they're still they're still interested, but their priorities changed, or maybe things got pushed off or whatever. So I would definitely follow up. Just give them some time, give a few weeks or whatever, and then follow up, because oftentimes I've had people who reached out to me and then we didn't actually end up closing the deal until months later.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
absolutely.
mean, yeah. I'm not I'm like Omari in that I don't mind giving clients time to think about things, you know. I don't want to push them into something like they're not happy, or, yeah. I just want
That's
to
right.
build like a really good relationship. And I think freelance is different than working in, like office or corporate, where everybody's like, no, we got to get it by tomorrow or now. It's more like depending on clients' time and when
Yeah.
they're available.
Yeah, it's definitely true. There's definitely a balancing act. And so yeah, it definitely like requires patience. Because oftentimes the clients like not, you know they're they just, because they don't reach out, because they think things are happening or whatever, and sometimes they come back around. Sometimes if you reach back out to them, it'll remind them, oh yeah, I do want to do that. They
Mm.
forgot because they were doing other things.
I
So
have been thinking about, the client's project, and I just feel like for her, it would be better not to host it on WordPress and have her pay on a monthly basis, because it seems like her business is going to be kind of small and more personal, and and she's not going to be collecting client data and, things like that. It's almost, I mean, I would prefer to just do like a straight, um, you know, pre-hosted on GitHub website for her.
oh, I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, WordPress hosting is very, you can get really cheap with WordPress hosting. I'm not talking about WordPress.com, because that hosting is not what I would prefer. But you can get Bluehost is super cheap, and like a lot of these are really really cheap for the first like couple of years.
Mhm.
You can get a super cheap deal. Like I've had people sign up for hosting for like, I don't know, something like 20, I think was it $24 or $30 or something for 2 years. I mean, their promotional plans are really really good. So
Yeah. I
um
almost feel like on AWS, you can have like a straight HTML, CSS website and host it for free.
You
Because,
can you can
yeah,
host it really cheap, like a S3 bucket, straight kind of almost not static site, but yeah, like what you just said. Yeah, so
it's
pretty
like,
cheap. Yeah,
mhm,
you need a S3 bucket, I think.
yeah, I think, yeah, I think my thing about that though is like, when it comes to clients that um they usually don't know what they might need in a year or 2 years.
mhm,
And then when it turns out actually, I think I actually need these extra things, you basically just have to rebuild the site for them. But they didn't really know that's what they were signing up for. So that's why I usually kind of, even though there is a cost
mhm,
involved,
mhm,
I usually try to get them into WordPress, because once they decide, oh yeah, I'd like to do X, Y, and Z on the site,
mhm.
there's really nothing you can do besides rebuild it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was thinking about asking her about what she was planning on in the future. When I
yeah,
followed up, I guess when I follow up with her,
yeah,
just because like, I would like to build a site that's most cost effective for her.
sure, of
Yeah,
course, yeah.
I may have gotten confused because I thought last week I thought I heard you say you gave her an invoice.
I did.
So
I
that
did send
I
her an
mean,
invoice.
that's a different form of communication. I mean, if you're requesting to be paid on something, I think that's something that you should follow up with and find out what's going to happen on that. It's just my opinion. That's not a communication I would personally would leave hanging. That's
Mhm.
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, that's in that case, was that question, did she decide that she was going to move forward with you, or was it or
she, you know, I I would have to say people can change their mind,
yeah, 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 for
She
sure, yeah.
can say, "Oh, yeah, sure, I can work with you," but at the same time, if she's looking at other web developers and, if there are other developers willing to do at a lower price point than me, then, most definitely she would probably go with somebody who's at a lower price point.
Yeah, I understand.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sometimes that I've mentioned this before, but sometimes that initial invoice does separate out those who are kind of kicking tires versus actually, or the contract. So usually that's the contract is one. Send over the contract, and usually folks who are just kicking tires will just
Hmm.
immediately stop. And then some people, I've had people, I've had actually people who agreed, signed the contract. Wait, did they sign it? I'm trying to think. Oh, I'm trying to remember what happened. We were actually had a conversation. We agreed on the phone, sent over the contract, and then they disappeared. Like it was like really, really weird because it was like immediately like, yes, we're gonna do this. I'm looking forward to doing it. Okay, boom,
Hmm.
I'll send you the contract right now. And then I sent them the contract and then called them back, and it happens. It is weird. So I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it all.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, they could sign the contract, but even in the contract, I would have it where, I would give the client the choice to end the contract if when they want to. I would not force them to go through the whole thing if they felt like it's not working out for them.
oh, absolutely.
And
Yes.
of
There's
course, there
different.
would be kind of like I would have to charge certain point for the amount of work that I did because they're gonna own it. But even then, like contracts are not set in stone,
So there's different documents though. I mean, so you've got a contract which is kind of specifying generally how you're going to work together often, although it may have some specifics. But then you'll often with a contract, you've got a statement of work and then the client will have purchase orders on their side, and then you'll have invoices on your side. So there's different documents. Yeah, right. So the contract itself may not say that, but what's the statement of work? What are you going to do for what? And then you invoice them for each of those milestones that you accomplished. So
exactly. That's
right.
how I laid it out is like 4 points of
Yeah.
work and then each point separated, on a like, whatever payment schedule. And
So
it would be
yes.
like he would give me a deposit and I would start working on the wireframes and work on the design. And the next step, I would get a payment before I move on to the next step,
Yeah.
was what we discussed.
Yeah.
Hey, can I
Yeah.
ask you real quickly, what's your fashion background?
So I worked mainly in junior and I worked as a designer doing denim for junior.
For whom?
So
Where? Like where? What company? If I may
let's
ask.
see. Like when I was working on assistant, I worked at random companies, but for denim, I started out at what's it called? Jesus. Oh, at
Like,
Scene Design. And
in Los Angeles?
yeah, they had like it was like a, junior, everything is produced overseas. So the design
Yeah.
office was in Beverly Hills. And so I was there. And then for some reason, like, I think they were having some kind of money issue or whatever. And then so the design director got a job with Tight Jeans. And at that time, I was working as a contractor. And so I just went with her to the new company and then worked at Tight Jeans for like 3 months. And it was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But like after that, I was like, I don't think I really want to die working for the fashion industry. It's just not worth it. And
Yeah.
I got out.
Mm. That's interesting. I used to work in fashion too.
Mm.
Did you go overseas at all?
I never went overseas, but I definitely worked with overseas contractors, sending them technical packages with list of, all of the items and measurements.
Mhm.
So, and was kind of, I have an understanding of the manufacturing process and testing and checking the colors and all
Yeah,
of
yeah.
that. But
Prototyping.
at one point, I kind of thought I was gonna start my own business and working in the
Yeah.
fashion industry. I was like, yeah, I don't really think I wanna build my own business in fashion either.
What countries were you working with?
I think with Scene, it was a Chinese company, and before that, for Corral Industries, I wasn't doing denim. I was working as assistant. They had Chinese, manufacturers, and they were slow like at that time there were Vietnamese manufacturing companies starting to pop up, and so we had like a representative who was starting to kind of build up, you know, um,
Yeah.
yeah, the go between. And then when I was assistant, like technical assistant at BB Dakota, that's when I was hearing stories of these Chinese manufacturers like holding merchandise hostage. Like they'll get a
Hmm.
payment and they will say like, they have a contract, how much it's going to cost, and they're like, we can't ship this, we need more money, and they'll just hold merchandise hostage. And then
Yeah.
I would hear about Forever 21 ordering merchandise, and in their PO they don't give the specifics so that they can just cancel the order whenever, and then you end up with all of these thousands of garments, and people in the company are scrambling to like offload it somewhere. And like seeing all of that, I was just like,
Yeah, I've been through some of that stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, only rich people who can afford to lose money can do that. It's like
But it's
it's
interesting how much overlap there are in different creative spaces, like
yeah.
the fashion side kind of helped
Yeah,
you with
I felt like the salespeople really got the better end of the stick. They didn't have to take responsibility for the design. They just sold and they got the commission. And
yeah.
I was the one racking my brain trying to create something. And, I
Mhm.
just got like a crappy fee or
There's-
salary. Not
Yeah,
worth
there's a lot of issues with I would do sampling and send them over to a showroom. Get into that later, but and then they'd run out of the material or something. So you'd send it. I don't know if you ever had that experience, but you'd prototype something with this material and then send it to the showroom, and the showroom would get orders from the stores. I had a showroom in San Francisco, and then I'd go back to the manufacturer like, oh, that material's sold out. So if you weren't, because you could do all over prints, you print yourself, but that's more expensive.
Yeah.
So you just pick the material, and then it's like, okay, well, that's sold out. So what do you think of this one?
Mhm.
It's like completely.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of, yeah, it's hard.
Yep.
But there's a lot of overlap in all the creative space, I think. I think it does help in the design and
Oh,
development.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
Well, I've known people who will bleed for fashion. Just I see that's cutting you under your arm, but just hold your arm down and walk around the room for 15 minutes. That's all you got to do. Seriously.
that's funny.
you gotta
Brand name or
you gotta know people like that. But there's that famous saying,
Oh,
scratch the surface of the fashion industry and you'll find more surface. I've found that out too. So
it's a good one. Yeah, I was making shoes in Bali. I used to live in Bali. I used to live in overseas for like 10 years. So I was doing direct manufacturing with them, going to factories and stuff. But I was doing these shoes and they were handmade in Bali, and that was like one of the big appeals, like kind of like vegan, handmade in Bali, all this stuff, and
sure.
got an order. Yeah, it was awesome, and it was going really well. And then I got this order, and they would use these like little tacks, little nails or tacks
Uh-huh.
in the process. You know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
And I tried to QC them. I had them QC them. I had my small staff QC them, and we missed a couple. So they got to the retailer. They found tacks in the shoes.
Uh-huh.
Like, not ordering any more from you. So that's like kind of like along the lines of what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
They're either like they'll sample something in high quality and then you order it and they'll give you lower quality, or they'll miss
Yep.
QC things, stuff like that. So you have to be really stringent with that kind of
Mm.
thing. That's a learning moment.
All you got to do is walk up and down. That's all you got to do. If you can last that, we'll be okay.
I'm a runner. Yeah, with the tack in your shoe.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share this real quick. This is the DigimarCon flyer.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, they've got all these speakers
Where is it?
Was that
Where is it physically in LA?
in Hollywood? Lowe's Hollywood.
Okay. Lowe's
Yeah,
Hollywood.
Lowe's Hollywood Hotel.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
Did you-
so yeah, they're covering all these topics here: AI and obviously marketing, data science, just a ton of stuff. So
What day is it free?
it's free on the 11th. So so on that's Thursday.
Thursday. Cool. Are you gonna go?
I'm going, yeah, for sure,
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah.
definitely.
try it.
So if you guys do end up deciding to go, feel free to let me know. We'll maybe put some, meet up there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. How do we get in touch with like outside of this group? Because I'd love to keep in touch with you guys, not just on Fridays.
yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, one way is we're on. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, so you joined the group, right?
Yes, I believe I did on LinkedIn.
Yeah. I would like to say you could register on the site and you can be there, but that we'll take that one step at a time. But yeah, we're all on LinkedIn, so yeah, just so jump on LinkedIn and join the group, and then message the group or message myself directly. Yeah, or anybody else who's here who's in the group.
Yeah, it'd be cool if we could collaborate on some projects potentially with different skill sets,
Mhm.
coming into play.
Mhm.
Like you can expand your capability of what you can sort of market if you have, someone else who can do the work type thing rather than I'm just gonna always go it alone. I might not.
That's exactly that's exactly the thinking behind the portfolio days, so that we get familiar with what everybody can do, and then when you do need to collaborate, you have a whole network that you can lean on to collaborate on projects. So
Nice.
yeah.
Sounds good.